Okay, let's get real for a minute. These headphones are not going to be to everyone's taste, but they are some of the most intriguing headphones that are available right now because they stand for something that I feel we haven't seen much of in the tech world for going on nearly a decade. And that's precisely why I'm here to take a further look. Now, originally, these are going to be part of my monthly tech unboxing episode, but I decided there and then that I wanted to make a full episode on these for a number of reasons, which I'll get into very, very soon. But here is how the unboxing and first impressions went earlier this month. Look at the size of this box. That was what was in it. That's insane. Those are some of the most unusual headphones that I've ever seen. Zinc alloy gaming earbuds. Oh, this is an experience and a half. This is like solid metal. No! Look at this! This is an experience. Okay, these are from Gravastar. Now, we've seen some stuff from them before. In fact, you can notice that logo. That was the shape of the last speaker that I had in the last unboxing, and that was the most unusual looking speaker that I've ever seen. But it actually sounded cracking. So I wonder what these sound like. What? No! They've got this light on that like glows. Wait a minute. No. The light's full RGB? What? It's green! Purple, orange, blue. Well, wow. I mean, this is a design and a half. It almost looks like I can open a bottle with this. I'm hoping that's going to have just enough charge to give me a quick go. Oh, wow. Those are actually surprisingly good. I hate to say it, I really actually like these. They are the most brave and daring design that I've ever seen. So, you've met the Gravastar Sirius Pro Earbuds, and although they look like they've been designed by an evil professor hell-bent on creating a doomsday device, they're actually packed to the brim with some really innovative earbud tech. Audio-wise, they feature Knowles balanced armatures and 7.2mm dynamic drivers for a very full, well-rounded sound over 3 different sound modes. But let's face it, it's the appearance you're focusing on right now. Inside this industrial design is a 16-hour battery, low latency response, RGB lighting in the case, and Bluetooth 5.2. You might think these look a bit crazy now, and you aren't wrong, but I think there's a very, very good and quite clever reason for this. But first, let's talk about the sound. To start with, these things have 3 different audio modes: music, movie, and gaming, all of which have a slightly different experience optimized for that type of media. Now, it really does change the sound quite drastically depending on what mode you're in. In standard music mode, the clarity is extremely good across the range and comes on par with some of the other high-end mid-range earbuds that I've tried. What I like is nothing seems to be overpowered, which leads to a really nice balance overall. Now, the gaming mode, which I've been testing out on the Steam Deck, which you'll see a review of very, very soon, works an absolute treat. And because there's low latency, there isn't any noticeable delay in audio from the deck to the headphones. And the virtual soundstage that gaming mode creates is pretty useful in some circumstances. I've noticed in this mode, noises like footsteps and vocals become a lot more audible, and you can pick out what direction those noises are coming from much easier in gaming mode, which is super handy for me because I play a lot of PvP FPS games. Now, movie mode creates a more of a virtual soundstage and adds to the overall ambience of movies. It's especially good at movies with a lot of action, intense soundtracks and booming noises. I will say, however, even though there are 3 modes, I tend to use these headphones mostly in standard mode across all of the uses, simply based on sound preference. I tend to lean more towards that kind of balanced sound rather than the virtual sound stages from the other modes, but it's purely down to a sound preference. Comfort wise, These buds are extremely light and sit really well in the ear. Now there's a few different extra sizes of end that you can use to customize the fit, but the standard ones seem pretty good in my ears, and overall the buds are very light, they're unobtrusive, which is great for longer stints. Now because of the simplistic design, it means the microphones are right up out of the way and as expected suffer slight reduction in quality over headphones that typically have a stem running down the ear. With that said, however, the sound is actually not that bad and more than good enough for headphones of this style, as you can hear right now with audio coming from the mics on the headphones. The earbuds themselves have touch control too, and for the most part this is a decent experience, except for one gesture that I'm not so keen on, but I'll get onto that in just a moment. The touch panels are situated on the main flat section and do a few different functions. Holding your finger increases or decreases the volume depending on the side that you press. One tap accepts calls and plays or pauses music. 2 taps on either one will skip or replay a song, and lastly 3 taps changes between the modes. These particular controls are absolutely fine, however naturally one of the interactions activates your phone's voice assistant, and to do this you need to tap the earbud 4 times. Now this can get a little bit annoying, having to tap something wedged in my ear 4 times just to access my voice assistant. It's not a huge issue, but it's a bit of an irritant nonetheless. It would have been better perhaps if the volume change and the voice assistant changed, so instead of having to tap you could just hold your finger to activate your voice assistant, because let's face it, most voice assistants can control volume of phones anyway. So for me it would have been better if the holding for 1 second activated my voice assistant. But I guess in the grand scheme of things it's not that bad. There is one other thing actually that I found a little bit fiddly with the earbuds, and that's getting the earbuds out of the case. The outer of the earbuds are like a smooth plastic, which on one hand feels really nice in the ear, but on the other hand makes it slightly difficult to get a grasp on them to pull them out when your hands are dry, given that the magnets that hold them are quite strong. Although on the flip side, that's a good thing because you aren't going to lose them anytime soon by them falling out of the case. I mean, you just saw me take it out there quite easily, but that's not going to come out at all. The case is, without a doubt, perhaps the most intriguing part of this entire setup though, and the thing that's drawn me to them. Now, as well as a bunch of magnets, the earphones are held in by a spring-loaded cage that goes over them like that. That's a boatload of fun because it acts almost like a fidget toy, and do you know what, it reminds me quite a lot of Zippo lighters, and the size isn't that far off, being very similar to a Zippo lighter as well. But perhaps the most ingenious design of the case, and to answer a question that I had from the unboxing, the great big illuminated RGB hole is for opening bottles. What an amazing party trick that is! It's quite amazing that despite the fact there's a great big hole through the middle of the case to open beer bottles, that these can charge the headphones from empty to full 3 times for 16 hours of use overall. But the real question that we need to ask, however, is all of this extra design and unusual features like the bottle opener, the RGB lighting and the spring-loaded metal case necessary? Of course it's not. But I don't think that's the point with these headphones at all. Firstly, they've been quite clever here, and similar to my theory about the PS5, I think they've made the design so outrageous that it does a lot of the PR for them. People will be intrigued, people will ask questions, and that's how information spreads. But more importantly, Gravastar have been brave with the design, and that should not be overlooked. I remember when I was growing up, we had all sorts of wacky looking tech and brilliant variations on the commonplace item, and over the past decade those wacky designs have just slowly disappeared. I mean, how often do we see devices like the Nokia 5700 that had a body that could twist in half for no good reason, or the Nintendo 64 controller that was just so outrageous for the time but influenced the future of game controllers ever since? Now, I've probably spurred some nostalgic thoughts with some of you old enough to remember devices like those, and out of interest, what wacky devices do you remember from long ago? Let me know in the comments. I'll be interested in remembering some stuff I've probably long forgotten about. But the point is, we just don't get stuff like that anymore. Everything just feels like a copy-paste job. Even incremental generational releases feel the exact same. It's just boring. Take the iPhone SE 3 for example. This is a phone that's had the same design for the past 8 years. That's what these headphones don't do. They haven't conformed to the current norm, and they've been brave enough to put a leg out and say no. Tech doesn't have to be and look the same. It's not that these headphones are the best headphones that I've ever tried, and at around £110 they aren't the cheapest headphones that I've ever tried either, nor do they offer specs that other headphones might not have. But what they do have is individuality, and I love them for it. The thing that's most surprising, however, is the quality everything I've tested so far from Gravastar. I can't speak about the entire lineup, but the Gravastar Venus mini speaker that I tried last year... Ooh, that is the weirdest looking speaker that I've seen ever. That was the same absolutely wacky design that ended up being incredible for the size. You might love the design, you might hate the design of these headphones, but the undeniable truth is that even if the design isn't to your taste, I think from the quality of the devices that I've tried so far, anything from Gravastar needs to be given a second look. And that concludes my thoughts on the Gravastar Sirius Pro Earbuds. As a reminder, guys, don't forget to comment the wackiest design that you can remember from the past few decades, so we can all have a good chinwag about it in the comments. And if you have enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe and notification bell if you want to see more. And I'll see you back for another episode of Stu's Reviews soon. I wish more devices had bottle openers, because then I'd have an excuse to be having a couple of beers whilst filming an episode. Very good.